Guys, we got new images of what appears to be the 2021 Ram Rebel TRX, the Hellcat powered truck.
The TRX is a concept that Ram showed a number of years back, and what it was a Ram 1500 with a huge wide body kit and a 6.2 liter supercharged V8 under the hood. That was the old generation, and this looks to be the real deal if this test mule is correct.
And by the way, at the end of this video, we have a small video clip where you can hear the exhaust note of this truck. So you gotta stay to the end of the video to actually hear it. And this truck was captured in the wild on the streets near Detroit, near the Auburn Hills, actually, the headquarters of FCA and Ram Trucks. And we get a really good look at the front of it. First of all, it's all blacked out.
Yep.
And the grille looks ordinary. So they didn't want to make it, different in this prototype, I'm assuming. But it's obviously wider and taller. I mean, just look at the rear end.
Yeah, the stance is huge. So it looks quite a bit lifted over a standard, even a Ram Rebel. Well, like we were talking about earlier, it looks to be based on a Ram 1500, so not a 25 or 3500.
Right.
But you can see immediately by looking at the front and transitioning to the side, a wide body kit, so some sort of fender flare.
So a lot of information we can learn from this, and a lot we still don't know.
Yep.
I spoke to the spy photographer who captured these images. He said this truck on the street was quick. When they saw him taking pictures, the truck took off. He could hear the supercharger whine. So there's definitely a supercharger lurking underneath the hood. But what about the hubs, Tommy? Because this is really interesting.
Yeah, so if you look at the truck, in the rear axle, it looks to be an 8-lug setup.
Yes.
But the front is a 6 for some reason.
Well, this is the first time I've seen this on any truck, right? Usually, I've seen light-duty trucks, in the past with 8-lug hubs.
Yeah.
For example, a truck like the Titan XD, which is kind of a heavier-duty version of a light-duty, also uses 6-lug hubs. But doing this mismatched 6-lug in the front, 8 in the back, it's really interesting. It must be there either for testing only, or to handle the power.
Yeah, there's something going on here. It could be that maybe it's using like the rear axle out of an HD truck. One thing we did notice right away is that it has an independent front suspension setup.
Yes.
So it's not like a power wagon that's going to be
correct.
Built for a huge articulation and off-roading. This looks more in line with the Raptor, something like a Desert Runner.
Yeah, and it kind of looks even almost taller than the Raptor in the back. In the back, we see a customized dual exhaust system with what appear to be vertical mufflers. And we can see the brake calipers, but there's something really interesting when you zoom in into the wheel well, because the shocks are actually wrapped in this black bag and they're zip tied, so they don't want us to know what shocks they're using. Yeah,
so we're not really sure what kind of suspension setup this truck is going to have. Now, there's rumors that maybe they'll go with something like a king shock.
Yes.
And the other thing you see in this image is the trailing arm, which looks incredibly beefy.
It's huge. What happens when you put a lot of power down? By the way, we're not sure if it's going to be 707. I mean, it may be a slightly different version of the Hellcat motor. Exact power numbers are unknown still, but when you put a lot of power to the rear axle, you can get hot, right?
Right.
Or the axle can actually wrap. But that trailing arm actually locates the axle, so you don't get any of that.
Yeah, it looks really beefy. Now, in terms of the tire, I think it's a KO2. It looks to be a KO2.
Yeah, it looks like a BF Goodrich.
The sidewall. And the size, I'm going to guess it's probably somewhere in the 33 to 35 range.
I'm thinking it's a 35 because the Rebel is using a 33 diameter tire. So this has to be stepped up. And you could see it's a wider track because there's fender flares kind of poking out on both sides, and they look to be customized. There's some information. Some people are saying that this is like an American Expedition Vehicle, AEV type flare.
Interesting.
And also the rim design with I don't think this is a functional beadlock, but the actual beadlock design is similar to the AEV trucks, and we don't know, we can't confirm this yet.
Right, but this was found outside of the FCA headquarters.
Yes.
In Michigan, so I want to clarify that.
It's got a manufacturer of plates.
Yep, and you talked to the spy photographer, and he sounded very confident that there was a supercharger underneath the hood of this beast. So here's the deal with what we think the TRX is, right? The Raptor came out in, 2010, 2009, as this all-terrain desert fighting monster, right? You know, you had the huge travel suspension, you had an entirely different body, essentially. You know, you had a wide body kit that incorporated the fenders. And since then, really no one has stepped up to compete with the Raptor on a factory-built truck.
You're absolutely right. Nobody has really built a Raptor fighter yet. If you look at other segments of the truck market, like the mid-sizers, I mean, there's a ZR2, there's a ZR2 Bison from Chevrolet with the Colorado. So that's kind of a focused truck that focuses itself on off-roading. Of course, the Power Wagon is the heavy-duty sort of off-road king of the heavy-duty world. But there's nothing in a half-ton segment that really fights against the Raptor, and this could definitely be it.
Oh, for sure. Other things we see some kind of large skid plate in the front. So the grille, the lights, they all look pretty similar. And actually the fender design looks pretty similar minus the flare, but you can see that there looks to be some kind of really heavy-duty bash plate, and even the front suspension looks beefed up over a standard rail.
And it looks a little bit longer, and it needs to be. So what's happening, as soon as you put a taller tire, you have to comply with a lot of regulations, including lane change maneuvers and safety. Safety is very important. So as soon as you get a taller tire, you have a tendency to lean. Right. So if you make the truck wider, not only are you getting more wheel travel, which is great for off-roading, you're also making it more stable. So all those elements, design elements, are really important. And FCA published a 5-year plan recently, a year ago or so, about their upcoming trucks, and this was on their plan.
Yeah, for sure. Now, if you look along the side, we've got a side step. It looks to be similar to the Mopar accessory side step you can get on a current generation Rebel. You also see a tonneau cover on it. So maybe some accessories going on here. We're not sure what the final version will look like, but I got to tell you, for a prototype mule, this one looks pretty complete. You know, first of all, there's no camo on it, which is super strange.
I know. Other than the shocks.
Yeah,
the shocks are camouflaged in the bag.
Yeah, and there's no badge on it that says TRX or anything like that.
No.
But it looks to be, you know, like a fairly complete truck. Now, that's not saying that this is what the final truck is going to look like, because we obviously don't know that. But when do we expect this truck to be revealed?
So we're not sure. Every report points to 2021 production.
Okay.
So I'm betting that it's going to be unveiled probably, I would say, in June of 2020. I'm being conservative there, because June of 2020 is the new Detroit show.
Right.
Because they're moving the Detroit show from January to June next year. So that's kind of my bet. What do you think?
Yeah, I think sometime around then, or even maybe at New York. So I'm thinking...
Or maybe like Chicago before that?
Yeah. So maybe New York of next year is maybe what I'm thinking. Of course, the FCA family just revealed its latest off-road truck, the Gladiator. And I don't see them wanting to take the thunder away from that truck, which is just about to hit dealers in the coming months. So we'll have to see what the final news is with this truck. But it's really cool to finally, see some glimpse at what could actually be a true Raptor fighter. Yeah, the Rebel and the Trail Boss are these off-road trims, but they haven't gone the full way toward a Raptor, right? I mean, you haven't seen increased power numbers out of the engines. Right. You haven't seen, a total body change other than some bits and pieces here and there. You haven't really seen all that drastic of suspension differences. A Raptor compared to like an FX4 has entirely different suspension geometry, entirely different bodywork. It's a different truck, and this looks to be the different truck that Ram needs to compete.
Yes, absolutely. And so let us know what you think in the comments below. Obviously, we're going to be watching out for this prototype and other prototypes in the coming weeks and months. So I'm very excited. I'm really glad that we were able to capture this and, of course, share with you the exhaust note.
Yeah, the exhaust note sounds great.
Which is deep.
Yes, it is deep, and it sounds meaty. This thing, it sounds like it's got a free-flowing exhaust on it. I love the tips coming out the rear, similar to what a Raptor's doing, but, a little bit differently executed.
Yeah.
And the black is a menacing looking color. I hope the wheel is similar. Biggest curiosity for me is the deal with the axles and the lug nuts.
You know, if you mismatch your hubs, front to rear, what if you have a flat?
They're not going to do that.
No, you can't do that. Either go all 8 lugs, right? Or go all 6.
Yeah, plus, I mean, you got to figure if this is a 4-wheel drive truck, which we think it is, they're going to have to be putting that power through the front axle too, not just the rear.
Right.
Yeah, so I think they're going to have to do something special.
That's really odd.
Yeah, we don't know what the interior looks like on this mule. You know, it was on the road and quickly off the road.
Yeah, so as soon as they saw the spy photographers, they left.
Yeah, they got out of here. So, once again, we also don't know the numbers. We think it's going to have a 6.2 liter Hellcat Hemi, but that could be, you know, derated over what you find in Charger Challenger. It could be the same number. Heck, it could even be 800. You know,
could be a demon engine.
It could be a demon. It could be a red-eye engine. So, let us know in the comments below what you speculate is going on underneath the hood of this Ram.
Thanks, and go back to tfltruck.com for more news, views, and real-world truck reviews.
See ya.